A few weeks ago, I woke up and I was not feeling very well. I went out to the kitchen to get some tea for breakfast and I suddenly became very, very short of breath. I went back to my bed to rest and my shortness of breath continued and got worse and worse. So my mom and I went off to the emergency department to get medical treatment. I was very suspicious. I probably had a blood clot in my lungs. I went to the emergency department. They did my vitals. My vitals were very, very high and they were very concerned. So they immediately took me back to an emergency department room. I was able to see a physician. He thought it was very suspicious. I probably had blood clots, and I also have a very long history of blood clots. With that being said, he ordered a blood test called D-dimer. D-dimer is a non-specific test which can test for blood clots, among other things. And when my result came back, it was extremely elevated. So usually you have low, normal, high. Mine came back as critical. I didn't even know that existed. But anyways, it came back as critical, and that was very serious. The doctor immediately admitted me to the hospital and he started me on Lovenox. Lovenox breaks up blood clots. So they were very hopeful once they started the Lovenox, it would break up the blood clots and I'd be feeling better. I was given a lot of Lovenox while in the hospital, and thankfully the blood clots did start to dissolve. And then once everything was looking good, I was breathing well, I was feeling pretty good, they decided to discharge me home and told me to follow up with my doctor. I'm just going to pause right here and say it's been a very long road with trying to get a medical provider. My medical team abruptly disintegrated this year. I was not informed of this, but they decided to close the clinic. And when I needed medical attention, the clinic was no longer there. So I've had to find a new primary care provider. Let me also just break right here and say thank you so much for all your comments and all your encouragement on YouTube on my video where I went to the hospital. I really appreciate it. And a couple of people had some questions which I'm now going to address. First of all, I have a very long history of blood clots. This was not a new phenomenon, and this blood clotting issue has gone all the way back to 2009. 2009, I had a stroke. The doctors were confused why I had a stroke, but they thought, well, it sometimes happens. 2012, I had another stroke. In 2012, I was diagnosed with mitochondrial disease, so they thought it might be some sort of manifestation of mitochondrial disease. They were not really that concerned about it because they thought, well, if it's something to do with mitochondrial disease, there's nothing we can do. They did imaging of my brain and they saw two areas in my brain that had damage from two separate strokes. They also thought I might have had a heart attack because I was having really bad chest pain, and I had an episode where I couldn't breathe and my chest was exploding. And they never did testing, but they did subsequent testing afterwards and saw that I had damage to my heart, and they think I did indeed have a heart attack during that episode. So onward, I kept going and just thinking, well, these are just kind of flukes. Blood clots do actually run in my family. So I thought maybe this is some sort of blood clotting issue. In 2017, I got a tracheostomy tube and was started on invasive ventilation. During my time in the hospital, I developed a severe, sharp pain in my left calf. I had a blood clot in my left leg, which is called a deep vein thrombosis, or DVT for short. When I was discharged home, I was told to take aspirin. Over the next few weeks, the pain slowly got better and the blood clot dissolved. In 2019, I had another stroke. This was my third stroke. Again, my doctors were confused why I was having a stroke, and again, they were not very concerned. In 2020, I abruptly had a whole series of blood clots. My body just started attacking itself and just having blood clots, blood clots, blood clots. I had them in my arms, in my legs, in my lungs. I also had a mini stroke. The doctors started waking up and thinking, maybe you have a blood clotting disorder. And I'm like, okay, let's do something about this. So they started me on the drug Eliquis. Eliquis is supposed to help with blood clots, but I am so fortunate It did not. I continued having blood clots. I went back to the hospital after starting Eliquis and I had a blood clot in my lungs. The doctors were thinking, well, Eliquis works. Maybe you weren't taking Eliquis correctly. Eliquis is a pill. Let me demonstrate how you take Eliquis. You take Eliquis, you take it out of the thing, out of the pill bottle, and you go, and then you take some water. Then you swallow. That's it. That is how you take Eliquis. So I asked my doctors, well, if you think I took Eliquis incorrectly, please explain the swallowing process to me. You know, I can do it in slow motion. Okay, let me know. What did I do wrong there? Yeah, they weren't convinced. They're just like, well, you must have just been taking it wrong, so keep on the Eliquis. I kept on the Eliquis. More blood clots. Wasn't that exciting? I just love going to the hospital with blood clots. Woo! Just nothing more exhilarating than not being able to breathe. My doctors finally thought, well, we don't think Eliquis is working. Why don't you stop taking the Eliquis? And I'm like, great. I continued having more blood clots, but finally the attacks stopped and I was okay for a little while. Then 2021, I again got these blood clotting episodes and I went back to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. And my doctor thought, we're going to try you on this different drug. It's called Xarelto and you will not get any blood clots. So once again, I did the whole pill swallowing thing. And once again, I got more blood clots. The doctors were like, we're really confused. We're not sure why you're getting more blood clots. So why don't you just stop taking the Xarelto and go back to Eliquis? And I thought, I'm going to stop taking the Xarelto, but why go back to the Eliquis? I mean, I took it for a couple months and I kept getting blood clots. So I just never went back on the Eliquis. Things kind of happened a lot in 2022. I had an ovarian cyst that almost ruptured. I had surgery. Things were very chaotic, but I thought I was doing okay. 2023, I had some more blood clots, but nothing too catastrophic. I was doing okay. And then this year, this summer, I abruptly again had blood clots, blood clots, blood clots, blood clots, blood clots, blood clots, blood clots. Ah, it was so exciting. I got them in my arms, my legs, and my chest. And they also think I had a mini stroke. So I tried to power through this, but again, I had no medical team, so couldn't get really any follow-up treatments for any of this. Finally, a couple weeks ago, I had that abrupt onset of I could not breathe, and I thought, let's go to the emergency department. While I was at the emergency department, the doctor goes, wow, you have a really long history of blood clots. I'm almost convinced you have a blood clotting disorder. I was like, great, let's go investigate this. The doctor said, I'm an emergency department doctor. That is not something I do. You're going to have to follow up with a primary care doctor. But nonetheless, please tell your doctor you need to be on warfarin because this is ridiculous. So Xarelto didn't work for you, Eliquis didn't work for you, and you keep getting blood clots. And I was like, okay, I got this information. Let's go to a primary care doctor. So I had a follow-up, I shouldn't say a follow-up, an appointment with a primary care doctor. And I was like, hey, doctor, I have a really long history of blood clots, 2009 stroke, 2012 stroke, somewhere in there. I had a heart attack, then 2020 blood clots all over my body, plus a mini stroke, and then 2021 more blood clots, and then 2022 maybe, maybe not. We're not really sure. I was really sick, so if I had blood clots, we're not sure. 2023 I had some minor blood clots, and now 2024 lots of blood clots all over my body, and my leg right now is swollen. Do you want to see my leg? I will not show you actually my leg, but just regular leg, swollen leg, you know? So exciting. And she's like, yeah, I don't know why you're having these blood clots. It seems really unfortunate. Maybe it's just the manifestation of your mitochondrial disease. And I'm like, talking about genetics, I'm so happy because we have a long, long history of blood clots and people dying from blood clot related complications. So me having blood clots and family history of blood clots. Let's test for a blood clotting disorder. She's like, no, I'm not really convinced. I'm gonna go look at some of your medical records and then follow up with me in 5 weeks. I will just say right there, my heart was like, just breaking apart. I was like, 5 weeks, 5 more weeks of blood clots. That sounds Sounds so exciting, really. So that is where we stand. Basically, they're pretty sure I have a blood clotting disorder. The emergency department doctor was like, this is kind of ridiculous. You have some sort of blood clotting issue. You have a family history of blood clots. You have a blood clotting disorder. But until we get testing and we get this all sorted out, I am just here in limbo land without any treatment. And if I get another blood clot, I was told, go to the emergency department. So much fun. So I hope everybody in the United States who celebrates has a wonderful, glorious Thanksgiving that is coming up. If you're from Canada, I am so sorry. We forgot to wish you a happy Thanksgiving because yours is in October. But have a great Thanksgiving next year. You know, happy early Thanksgiving. If you don't live in the United States or Canada, and if you would like to celebrate Thanksgiving, go on November 28th, get a giant meal. Eat a lot, eat a lot, eat a lot, and be like, I am so thankful for all this food. Eat a lot, eat a lot. And then you know what you do on November 29th? You go out to all the stores and shop till you drop. That's Thanksgiving here in the United States. It's so much fun. So I would just like to say thank you so much to everybody who encouraged me on YouTube with my hospital visit and my emergency department visit. I really appreciate all the comments, encouragement, and all the well wishes. You all are really nice, and I really appreciate everything. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe. Also, please remember to comment and share. It really helps this channel. I hope you have a great day, a wonderful week, and to everybody celebrating, happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.